Hi, my name's Jennifer Ellory and I am the designer behind Arden's Remembering Collection. I just wanted to share with you today how it all began and where some of the inspiration came from. So I guess you could say it was when I was looking into my own personal family history and looking at ancestry and DNA. My father at the time was suffering with dementia. So I was going back through old photographs that we still owned and asking him who they were and writing it down. And I just thought this information needs to be documented. I think it's important for me to pass this on to my children and also to help jig memories for my dad when he'd be no longer able to remember who those people were. So I guess you could say I thought, well, it'd be nice to do it in a creative way and have something to keep or something to display. So I began creating papers that were based around my own personal history. So those seamstress elements were where it began. That was an easy one for me. And I just love all the, the delicate vintage laces and the colour palettes and, the dusky rose pinks. So expanding on from there, I thought, well, who else would I want to document? Obviously, grandfathers who'd fought in the war, who were pilots or gunners in aeroplanes and had actually survived, which was an amazing story to tell. I had lots of baking elements in there as well from my my immediate grandmother. And then a lot of the collection, actually, I would say it was inspired by my dad. So he was an antiques refurnisher, and his work shirts were constantly covered in paint and stains and, wax and glue. And a lot of the textural papers are actually inspired by him. All these lovely, splatters and rusty textures. And I was just surrounded by that while I was growing up. And it was very reminiscent of my dad. So on a personal level, I loved designing those and loved using them in my own pages. So in the page I did about my dad, remembering my dad, it's just lovely to have a piece of him in the background of that. And some of the other elements I loved designing and using, probably the ephemera. I think I really like the frames. I think they're really versatile. And I think they're a lovely way to home in on the photographs if you've got some to share. So I guess as I carried on designing elements of the collection, I was hoping that there would be a piece of everybody's history in there. So anybody taking these papers would be able to find something reminiscent of their past and their story that they want to tell, and maybe some elements that they can pick out which describe that story and that person that they're remembering. So many elements in there were personal to me, the keys, the cogs, the clocks. These are all the kind of things that my dad would hoard in his shed and his garage, just in case. And it was really nice for me to be able to pick out those elements and place them around the page in such a way that would remind me of him. So I guess I hope that other people using this set will also be able to do the same and find those little elements that they can add 3D details to, because I think the whole story comes to life when you layer it up and it has some 3D elements. So hopefully there's something in there for everybody. I hope you enjoy using the collection, and I'd love to see what you come up with. Thank you.